Hi everybody. In our last Chapter 18 study guide video, we talked about cumulative versus non-cumulative preferred stock. And in that video, we discussed that non-cumulative preferred stock simply loses any dividends that are not paid, while cumulative preferred stock is entitled to receive dividends for years in which dividends were not paid. The unpaid dividends accumulate, and if a dividend is paid in the future, all dividends in arrears must first be paid to preferred shareholders. Then the current year preferred dividend must be paid to the preferred shareholders, and only then are any dividends shared with common shareholders. So what we're going to do in this video is to work some examples that will point out how these rules are applied. We're going to use this set of facts for two rather detailed examples. Assume a corporation's outstanding stock includes 1,500 shares of $100 par 8% preferred stock and 5,000 shares of $75 par value common stock. In 3-year period, the first year, 20x1, is the first year of operations for this company. No dividends are paid at all. In the year 20x2, the board of directors declares and pays cash dividends in the amount of $10,000, and in the year 20x3, they declare and pay cash dividends of $40,000. So the first step we want to do is to calculate the total amount of annual dividends the preferred stockholders would be entitled to receive if dividends are paid. This calculation is done in a manner similar to the calculation we did in the prior video. So go ahead and calculate the preferred dividend if dividends are paid given this scenario. Then start your video again to check your work. Under this scenario, preferred shareholders would be entitled to receive the first $12,000 of dividends paid each year. That is calculated as the $100 par value of the preferred stock times the stated percentage, 8%, equals $8 dividend per share times the 1,500 shares issued and outstanding. That equals $12,000. Now we're going to work two very detailed examples. In the first one, we're going to calculate the amount of dividend to be paid to preferred and common shareholders, assuming that the preferred stock is non-cumulative. Then we're going to use the same set of circumstances and facts and calculate the amount of dividend to be paid to preferred and common shareholders, assuming that the preferred stock is cumulative. Remember that first of all, a corporation is not required to pay dividends to anybody. They're only liable to pay dividends if the board of directors actually declares a dividend for that year. Non-cumulative preferred stock loses out on any dividend that is either not paid in that year or paid in an amount that is not sufficient to satisfy the commitment to the preferred shareholders. In this example, that commitment is $12,000 per year if dividends are paid. So in the first year, 20x1, the dividends, that there were no dividends paid at all in that year. So of the 0 dividends paid, how much do preferred get and how much do common get? Well, I think that's pretty obvious that it's 0 to each. So of the total 0 dividend paid, 0 was paid to preferred preferred and 0 was paid to common, and on a per share basis, 0 was still paid to both because simply no dividends were paid that year. We do not need to keep track of dividends in arrears for non-cumulative stock. There are no dividends in arrears because if dividends are not paid or not enough dividends are paid, the preferred shareholders of non-cumulative preferred stock simply lose out. They don't get to make up for the amounts not paid in the future. So in 20X2, the company paid $10,000 in dividends. How much of that $10,000 should be given to preferred shareholders and how much should be paid to common, and get the per share amount as well. Start your video again when you have your amounts listed to check your work. In our example, the company is committed to pay the first $12,000 each year of any dividends that might be paid, first to the preferred shareholders, and then the common shareholders gets what's left over. Only $10,000 was paid in year 2. So who gets that $10,000? Yes, the preferred gets all of the $10,000, and the common shareholders get none of it. And on the exam, you are asked to do these calculations and present your answers on a per share basis. So the $10,000 was paid to all of the preferred shareholders. There were 1,500 shares of stock. So $10,000 divided by 1,500 shares of preferred stock equals $6.67 of dividends paid per share to the preferred shareholders. And that 1,500 shares of preferred stock came from right here. So in year 3, the company paid $40,000 of dividends. Go ahead and record the amount of that $40,000 of dividends that is due to be paid to the preferred shareholders of non-cumulative preferred stock, and how much will be paid to common shareholders, and then also report the amounts in on a per share basis. So $40,000 of dividends was paid in 20X3. The commitment to the preferred shareholders was they get the first $12,000 of any dividends that are declared and paid. So they get $12,000 of the $40,000, and the $28,000 remaining needs to be paid to the common shareholders. And on a per share basis, that's $12,000 divided by 1,500 shares of preferred stock, or $8 per share, and $28,000 divided by the 5,000 shares of common stock equals $5.60 per share. And remember, this is non-cumulative, so if they don't get paid, they, meaning the preferred shareholders, they simply lose it. We do not need to keep track of dividends in arrears for non-cumulative stock. Well, that's all for this video. In our next video, we will do the calculations using the exact same example. We'll do the calculations if the preferred stock is cumulative. It's going to make a big difference. See you next time.